Hi, I'm Chad Wahlquist. I'm an architect at Palantir. Today I have Agathe. She runs our procurement team at Palantir. So thanks for joining me.
Hi, Chad. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so procurement's one of those topics that I think most people think is like it's the least sexy thing in business, but maybe we can actually just jump straight in the demo to see what does that mean in Palantir's world?
That sounds great. Let's start. Procurement is one of those organizations and departments where a lot of the work generates a lot of ROI. And so just because of the ROI that is so big, many customers actually start with procurement use cases, or existing customers are extending their ontology to get into procurement and to grab that ROI. So I'm going to show you how we do this. So what I'm looking at here is a list of notification from AI agents. So the way you can think about this list is handoffs from the AI agents to the humans. So every single nudge that you're seeing here is a nudge from an AI agent for a human to take over. In real life, this app would be pre-filtered to your own notifications. So the category managers will have their own notification, accounts payable users will have their own. This first nudge here is an invoice that has been detected to be violating the framework agreement that I have with my supplier. So it's basically among the millions of invoices, maybe thousands, depending on the customer, I have every month with my suppliers. The AI agent has detected something wrong. So as I deep dive into this, I quickly understand why that the invoice is due in 30 days, whereas I negotiated in my contract that I get 60 days to pay those invoices. It is important. I probably negotiated hard to get that clause in the contract. And so actually the AI agent has done a lot of work to get me to that notification here. I'll get to that in a second, but here they have extracted the clauses from the contract, processed the invoice, matched the invoice against the contract, detected the violation, and even prepared for me the next step, which is the action the AI agents would want me to do, which is sending an email to the vendor.
So this is actually, well, I was just to back up a minute. I'm parsing probably PDFs, extracting and ontologizing that data, the PDFs of both invoices and the contracts, comparing all the different terms, and then finding that there's violations, and then even using all of that context that we have to then generate an email.
Exactly, and I can show you how this works. And as a user, you might want to also have that confidence that the AI agents did a good job in the background. So here, what it looks like on the invoice side, you have the invoice PDF that was received, and automatically there was an AI agent that was tasked to extract the information, both at the header level of the invoice, but also at the item level. That's what's happening on the invoice level. On the contract level, it's quite similar. It's just different AI agents that work in parallel to extract information from the PDF. So that's like metadata, as you can see on the left here, like events, etc., but also clauses. And typically in that instances, that was the payment term here that was problematic. And so,
Cool. So you can even find the actual part in the PDF based on those payment terms. Oh, that's neat.
exactly. And that's how the AI agents work. They work separately on different tasks, and then they put that work together. There is another agent that put that work together, identify the violations, and then another one that triggers the violation notification, and then another one that creates the email.
So I think that's an important thing, because so many people think about AI as in my chat bot, I want to chat with my data, but really what the AI agents on the back end are doing, they're making more data computable. The unstructured data of your business that normally sat in PDFs and emails are now computable inside of this framework, right? I think that's pretty neat and differentiated. Is actually the best use case here is actually, I don't see AI as not obvious everywhere to me, right? I think that's key, is this is solving a problem through AI, not AI in your face that you have to go chat with it.
Exactly. And you need AI just because of the structure of the data that is coming in, which is unstructured in nature in the format of PDF, but also because the content of those contracts really vary over time and vary depending on the industry, vary depending on the spend category. So some customers will care about payment terms, but some others will care about pricing, discounts, rebates, minimum volume commits, SLAs, you name it. And so those are things that the AI can adapt to.
Very cool.
Yeah, so that's the first example of a AI nudge. this one is very oriented towards contract execution, so contract compliance, but you can have other nudges that are more strategy oriented. The second one here, let's jump to the second nudge,
Yep.
is actually a category strategy nudge. It's basically an AI agent has identified a cheaper option for me to go after. I mean, in general, that's pretty positive when you're a buyer. So I'm going to deep dive into it. What you're seeing here is that tariffs have started to kick in. And what the AI agents have done in the background, again, is like a multiple step process where there was an AI agent ingesting the tariff data, another one matching the HTS code from the official website to your material catalog. Then there was the total cost that was computed. It takes into account the unit price of the material you're buying, but also the freight, maybe the tariffs, maybe other things like logistics, for example. It identified material substitutes, got some approval from other humans in the company, and then it gets to you, procurement, to make the final call in terms of, I've identified for that steel beam some substitutes where actually what I'm seeing on the graph is that they're cheaper now that there is the tariff taken into account. And so the decision to be made as a buyer here is you don't have to do all that work of identifying, understanding what is the latest on tariff, identifying the matches, identifying the substitute. You have everything put together for you to make the decision. Again, you have that full visibility into how the AI agent work. In terms of what this information was based on, so anything around the tariff itself, where the information is coming from, in terms of where in the notes you can find that HTS code. You always keep track of everything that the AI agents used to come to that conclusion, but then you're the one in charge, in full control, to make the final call of, do I want to renegotiate, do I want to generate an RFQ, etc.
Yeah. Well, I think there's 2 points here is like, the audit trail for the agentic kind of reasoning and thought process and what it's doing, even the actions, I think is important, especially in highly regulated industries where I need to be able to justify and understand how I got this decision. And then second, the call out of the actions, like I see like, wait, I can just generate an RFQ or an email. Like that means that the distance from this insight to an actual action and a decision that makes, valuable things happen is a button click in here that now I can actually take these actions and then flow with that. I think those two things are super important about this, and differentiated is I want to drive actions across my business, and I need to know how I got here if I'm having agents run, right?
Yeah, that's so true. Buyers and category managers, they're experts in their field. Like if you have been buying this for years, you probably know more than many people on earth how to buy this thing. And so you will never want to delegate the important bit around the decision of purchasing that aspect or, negotiating this very specific technical component. And that's why you want to keep the full control over those AI agents, because you don't trust them with the level of expertise you might have.
Yeah. And I think that's the difference probably than like a kind of a normal procurement like end-to-end solution is like I have box software and it has an opinion and I try to fit my business into it. I think the difference about what we do at Palantir is like we want to empower you because you're probably the world's best at doing XYZ through malleable software to scale, kind of give you the superpowers in the procurement space or honestly any space. But specific to this example, I think it's how do you make that world's best kind of buyer and expert have an infinite labor source at the disposal?
Yeah, and honestly, a lot of their time currently is being spent on aggregating data from several sources, read through invoices or purchase orders that are like part of a complex process of approval, like a lot of manual tasks where they're not using that expertise. And so it's all about like removing that manual tasks from their day-to-day and like allowing them to spend more time doing the negotiation, doing the category strategy that is currently like a too small part of their job.
Yeah, awesome.
So to wrap up here, what we've seen is a couple of AI handoff to the category managers, to the buyers, for them to make the strategic decision. What I want to show you now is what happens under the hood, how we built those AI agents for them to be really efficient, and what are the steps and tools required to get to this level of AI agent automation.
Yeah, I think that's the like how attainable is this? Because this sounds really cool. It's like, how do I get my business there? Are we ready for it? I hear a lot of those questions. So maybe let's dive in and see what it actually looks like.
That's actually a good transition to why the ontology is such a good foundation for these workflows. Because as you said, when we start those processes, when we start this transformation, what we do is the first thing is we connect to the ERP, right? We're getting data here. This is SAP as an example, where the data comes in the format of rows and columns. But, there is a lot that happens outside of your ERP. And so that's exactly the data we connect to. So we get data in other formats that might be absent from or like away from your ERP. So the contracts, for example, the invoices, even sometimes pictures of invoices or good receipts is something that we work with. And so all this sort of data that happens outside, or like all these processes that are happening outside of your current ERPs, we are capturing this within the ontology through the connectors that we have on the platform here.
Can you go back up to the SAP thing? Because I think there's just an important point here for most people. It's okay, I have this data over here outside of SAP. I have the data in SAP. Half the problem is actual also getting access and making sense of your ERP data. And so just to call out, there's a tool, we can put a link in the video to HyperAuto that actually will read the metadata about your ERP system and actually auto-generate all these transforms you're seeing on the screen to make usable objects you can work with in a matter of hours or days. So like, how do I get value out of my ERP? HyperAuto with this, and then I combine that unstructured data of like the PDFs and the manuals and other stuff to then create this bigger ontology. And maybe you can go into the ontology piece, but I just want to hit home that like getting value out of your ERP very quickly is something that like we are so differentiated in compared to everybody else.
You're right. The reason why we do all this is to build the ontology. So in procurement, as you know, what the ontology looks like is really different from one company to another, one industry to another. There are some common themes and shapes and forms of procurement ontologies. You're going to always have a material master, a vendor master, spend categories. Hopefully they're clean enough. If not, I'm going to show you in 1 second how we tackle this. But then all your P2P information, and then you complement that information with any external data. And so what that gives you is like unified objects with everything in one place, including the metadata. I'm looking here at the contract object that has a lot of metadata that was automatically extracted, but also has the PDF already baked in to that object. And so that's what makes the ontology here. It's like a unified source of truth for your professionals, your humans to access it, but also for the AI agents to use seamlessly throughout their automations.
It meets them where they are. I think that's the important piece is instead of trying to get you into some other system, other report, other thing, it's like, no, let's meet you where you are, bring all the data together and then drive actions out of that.
Perfect. Now, one concern that I get a lot when I present this to procurement professionals and when we start those projects is, okay, but how do I believe that you're going to be able to clean my data, and specifically around materials, vendors, spend categories? One concern I hear a lot is, but my data isn't ready for this. And back to what you were saying about meeting you where you are, this is exactly what this platform is about. If you have made progress on those cleaning steps, that's great, and we can build on that. If not, that's totally fine. We can use any sort of data to clean your material, your vendors. Here I have an example, which is mechanical drawings. Typically what we are seeing here is we have AI, actually vision models, extracting key components, key dimensions from the materials. Why this is important is because you're able to extract this information from an unstructured data that before you wouldn't be able to use. And now that it's been ontologized, you're actually able to use that to then compare the prices, make those substitute recommendations that we were seeing earlier. So it's all the kind of background that backs what you were seeing earlier. Those substitutes, we can create them based on all the data you have, whether that's text data, descriptions of those materials, but also mechanical drawings, for example.
That's pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, you're actually tying the actual drawing into the structured data of your ERP or your procurement systems or other things, so that both engineering and procurement or wherever can actually work forward and backward and understand that, oh, this is the actual impact of it, or here's my drawing, like this, does this thing even make sense? I think that connecting those dots is always it's the swivel chair kind of work that people are used to doing.
Exactly. And same goes for any other objects you're seeing in the ontology. The spend category is another one. I get a lot of customers saying, but my products aren't categorized properly, and that prevents me from doing any sort of AI or any sort of category strategy or any sort of AI agents on my category optimization. Here you go. We can do smart categorization of your product using your hierarchy or creating a new hierarchy. So all of that to say, the ontology is not just a model with like objects, it's also like all the background and what's happening in that graph over here, that where the cleaning is happening, where those AI agents are helping you clean that data too.
Yeah. And I think the important note is like empirically proving and doing and showing and using that as the feedback loop to also fix it, because everything we're doing here also is bidirectional. So if I find problems with master data in my applications, or these things don't make sense, I can actually use that to fix and clean up much quicker. I can understand the impact of that master data, because often master data is like pushing rope to try to get people to fix it, because they're like, well, it's all the same. I got 100 things to do. Well, of that, usually there's probably 2 things that account for the vast majority of like spend or dollars or impact. And it's like, how do you make sure that people are focused on those 2 first to fix them? That's much more impactful when I can contextualize it. And I think that's really what you're getting at here, is how do we contextualize the master data to then get people to help fix it and understand it, is through contextualizing and using it.
Exactly. I wouldn't put it better. One last component of those AI agents running in the background is you can accelerate your build with a couple marketplace products. So we know that building all of this might take some time and also requires some knowledge and best practices about building those AI agents specifically in the world of procurement. We have had the occasion to learn from moving to production so many of those use cases across industries, and that's exactly what this story is doing. It's like baking in some of those learnings for you to accelerate, let's say, bootstrap your build and start based on a couple primitives that we have built for you to use.
Very cool. So just to back up, like the marketplace, like what is this? So it means like this things I can install, or like what is this?
Yeah, exactly. Basically, you can think of it as a catalog where if you want to install something, you're going to have a product and you can install this on your stack.
Oh,
This will walk you through what are the expected inputs for this to work. Some of them actually build upon each other. So for example, this RFQ product is building upon the procurement ontology product. And so there is a set of prerequisites that are requested or actually advised for you to have the cleanest data or the foundational information. That's where you would start.
so I can actually build like my own by putting these different building blocks together. I can then build kind of my end-to-end solution, but each one of these building blocks actually deploys the code, the logic, the ontology, all of that then I can also modify however I need to. So I really do have modular, like malleable building blocks to put things together to like really customize for my business.
Right, it's fully built on the AIP platform, so you get the flexibility and the customization aspect. Everything I showed on you can choose your prompt, etc. It's just that it shipped with a first version of that prompt, and then you can customize it to your need. So you don't lose on the customization aspect. You just gain some additional built-in blocks that are pre-configured.
That was really cool. Thanks for showing me the demo here.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what's cool about it is the ROI that customers are deriving from our platform, honestly. I like to say it's about 1 to 10% per year of savings that you can get on the addressed spend. Some customers have even claimed 30% over 3 years. So that's just a lot of ROI, and that's the main thing about AI applied to procurement.
That's very cool. And I think, we were didn't we get named to be the leader in the IDC for like AI source to pay?
Yeah, exactly. We actually entered the ranking this year for the first year, and we entered as a leader.
Wow.
I think it's just because they've seen that kind of shift from point solutions that are solving very specific problems, but then create disjointed architecture versus our approach, which is like all around AI agents that you can customize to your needs, to your industry, to your processes. I think it's a major shift in the industry, and they've been able to see that. So that's really cool.
Yeah, that's neat. I mean, 30% ROI, even 10% ROI is like a lot of dollars for some of these big organizations. Huge impact. That's very cool. So big ROI numbers is great. What else is getting people excited about the solutions?
What really convinces people is the speed. We get to a V0 in hours, we get to a minimum viable product in days, we get to in production in weeks.
Wow.
The other day, Stellantis reached out and told us it took them only 10 days to measure the impact of tariffs on their whole purchasing budgets. So yes, they have
Wow.
a really strong ontology, they have super strong builders, but honestly, it's also the secret sauce of the platform, allowing them to move so fast. That's just one example. Just like last month, we put in production at an oil and gas company, one of the majors. We put in production in just 3 months a really complex AI agent workflow, doing like all the invoice to contract compliance, including timesheets and like really dirty, like
Yeah.
deep PDF data.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that people probably haven't heard of Palantir. Maybe now with the share prices and things, people are hearing more about it. But ultimately, like we weren't the incumbent here, and so people are like, well, what does Palantir do different than these other vendors? And I think that's the speed to market, the malleability, the connected pieces to across your business. That isn't just a point solution. I think those are all great points.
Honestly, if I take a step back, procurement is just a goldmine for any sort of AI automation, just because you have two things. One, you have a ton of manual processes. We saw that, but procurement professionals are buried under a ton of manual processes, reading through emails, reviewing invoices, reviewing purchase orders. And so there's just a lot of optimization that can be done. A construction company just cut in half the time required for them to issue requests for quotes, and that's months in savings, like in time savings. So it's just the amount of manual processes here is you cannot not get excited about it when you know how AI works. The other aspect, and we touched upon it, is the quantity of multimodal data that is in procurement. So you have all the things that comes in the format of PDF, all those text emails that comes to you as well. So all of this makes procurement a goldmine for automation, AI automation. And that's why ROI truly skyrockets in procurement, because time saved in procurement equates to you have more time to negotiate with more suppliers, or do this one more RFP that will allow you to discover cheaper options or better options for your business. And so it's really compounding ROI. It's not only time saved, but actual impact on the bottom line of the company.
Oh, that's very cool. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to walk through the demo and the behind the scenes stuff. I loved it. I'm assuming people will be very interested as well. How would people reach out to get started here?
Well, there is a procurement page on our website, the palantir.com website, but you can also reach out directly. Happy to have a chat.
Yeah, awesome. Same here. If people want to DM me or wherever, happy to connect you with everybody. So, well, thanks again for taking the time. I know you're super busy deploying all this stuff, but it's cool to be able to share it.
Thank you, Chad, for putting this on the spotlight.